Project for the day. Back in, what was it, probably 2013, here in St. George, Utah, I was rear-ended by someone who was texting and driving. And at that point, I had a receiver accessory in and they hit my receiver. Didn't do much damage to my truck. There's a scratch there and another one on the other side. But mostly the damage was they bent the end of my frame and also my receiver hitch. They also bent the receiver accessory too. And so I ended up getting this U-Haul receiver hitch, and I actually don't like it. It sits probably 1.5 inches to 2 inches lower than the factory one did, but it was already too late. It was on the truck before I had a chance to see how it would look and return it. But because of that, my standard 2-inch drop hitch was lower, and I didn't like the way that was, because a lot of the trailers, it was at a perfect height for a standard trailer, but now it ended up being lower, so the tongue of the trailer was lower, and I didn't like that. So I ended up getting a 3-point receiver that can be turned depending on the ball, and I went with the Harbor Freight one. I've seen some others where the 2-inch ball was for, say, right here, and 2 inches most common for what I use, and I wanted it to be up, and it has the hook on it, but it has the same tow ratings as standard receiver accessories. But having changed to this other receiver hitch, it's a lot heavier and it rattles as I drive down the road. So let me put the pin in. So it has front to back, side to side, up and down movement, a lot of rattling. I didn't like that, and I figured I'd fix it, and I looked it up on YouTube. There's been a couple of people who have done stuff, but they're overcomplicated, you know. I like simplicity in ways, and they were welding on their receiver hicks or receiver accessories and stuff like that. I know sometimes by welding, depending on how you weld it, and if you're a decent welder, you can actually weaken some parts, and I didn't want to weaken anything that's pulling a couple 1,000-pound trailer. So what I decided to do was actually just run a bolt through the bottom of the receiver hitch, and that would keep my receiver from rattling. Now what I could have done was just taken a standard bolt, 1/2 inch by 1 inch or something, and put up in there, but that would mean I would need keep a wrench in my truck or something that would, so I could come back and loosen it so I can change out my receiver accessory for something different. Sorry, my hands twitching a little bit. Anyway, but I was at Ace Hardware and I saw this, and it had 1/2 inch threads by 13, and I had the tap for that and everything, so I figured I'd buy this for like a couple bucks. And it's really nice because what I can do is I also wanted it to be loosened real easy, so I was gonna like weld a rod onto the end of the bolt or something, but when I saw this, I figured I could just use my receiver pin as a lever to tighten this receiver down. But it works great. All I need to do is just snug it up, and once it's snug, there's zero play in my receiver hitch. I do have these hook points, and by all means I'm not going to hook anything onto this. That might need to be load bearing, you know what I mean, like safety chains. They need to be hooked onto something more secure than just a 1/4 inch worth of threads. So I am, but this might be just something easy for just to take up slack in tow chains or something like that, and something I can just easily hook, you know, maybe a toast or a tie down strap if I'm tying something down from up in the bed or something. I don't know. But I do think it hangs down a little low. I might take my grinder or cut-off wheel and cut it off a little bit further there, and so this tucks up a little bit cleaner. But it will be protected by the drop-down hitch and the tow hook. So that's my simple fix to a problem. I've seen other ones that were a lot more complicated, but this is how I did it. Feel free to use this idea at your own risk, and I'll see you later, YouTube.